Well, hello, my paranormal peeps, and welcome back to another Deep Woods Paranormal Podcast. My name is Matt Harvey. I am the host of the Deep Woods Paranormal Podcast. I'm also the founder of Deep Woods Paranormal. Today, we've got a special guest on. I'm really excited to talk to her, Colleen Coffman, author, and she's also a special effects, and then she's also a paranormal investigator. Let's welcome on Colleen and have her kind of talk about her story, and then at the end we'll have her talk about her book because I'm super excited about that. So, Colleen, welcome to the Deep Woods Paranormal Podcast.
Hi, Matt. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for coming on with us.
Oh, no worries, man. I enjoy doing this kind of thing.
Awesome. Well, what got you into the paranormal? What got you into this field?
I have always been weird that way. It's always been that for me. So my whole life. So I have an assortment of lots and lots and lots of paranormal experiences that go back as far as I can remember. Awesome. My sister and brother-in-law and I we were doing paranormal investigations before it was fashionable and cool.
Yeah. We started back in the early 90s.
Yeah, I started back in the 80s, so we've been doing it a long time.
Yeah. So tell us about some of your paranormal experiences.
I have just about any kind of a paranormal topic you can bring up. I probably have some kind of an experience there. I have been very fortunate and sometimes a little unfortunate to experience just a vast and a colorful variety of paranormal experiences. I have UFOs, ghosts, demons, cryptids, fairies, precognition, telepathy, all of it. It's just kind of who I am and what I've done my whole life.
That's crazy. So tell us a little bit about, I know in your book you kind of talk about gnomes and fairies. Yep. And also you have a diary that you wrote and then that disappeared back in, I think you said 2000 or something like that, and then disappeared.
It disappeared in 2014, and it reappeared in 2020.
You gotta love those ghosts.
I don't know what that was. I call it divine orchestration because I just don't know how that happened, but it did.
Crazy. So you study gnomes and stuff. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I study them as much as I just live with their little energies. You know, they're wonderful little creatures. I have seen and interacted with them my entire life. More whenever I was a child, I saw them, and then I kind of lost track of that as I was growing through my teenage years, and I had a family very early on. So it was probably in my mid-20s whenever I reacquainted myself with the Fae. And it was because we started seeing them around some property that we were taking care of for an elderly couple. The first time we saw them, it was my ex-husband and I. We were walking the property. It's, I don't remember, 50 some odd acres worth of property, and somebody had been vandalizing some of the cars and things that were stored up there. So we would go all hours of the day and night trying to catch these guys. And one night we were up walking the property line. It was well after dark. We got up to the back fence line and decided to take a little break. And I noticed that there was this bush growing into the fence line that had little orange glowing orbs. And wow. They were about the same size and color as like a cigar cherry. And so my ex-husband and I started looking, digging through this bush, trying to figure out what in the world they were. The more we looked, the more we found. But we never figured out exactly what they were. So the next day, we came back during the daylight, and we beelined back to that bush, and we found absolutely nothing that would account for the little orange glowing orbs. Wow. Then we had a massive, and when I say massive, it was probably 50 feet or more, what they call a fairy circle with mushrooms bigger than I had ever seen in my life. And then we started seeing these really fast moving white and blue and purple lights that made really weird noises all over this property. And it wasn't just us. It wasn't just me who had seen things like this my whole life. It was people who had no experience, and some of which had no belief in that kind of thing, and everybody was experiencing it on this property. So that was kind of how I was reacquainted with the Fae.
Interesting. Yeah, it's always fun when a skeptic becomes a believer.
Yeah, well, I wasn't even necessarily a skeptic. I rolled my eyes, and my mom and dad used to set up little fairy houses and things in their yard, and I'd roll my eyes because I didn't remember. But boy, whenever they came to visit, I remembered hard and fast.
That's funny. So, have you ever had any Bigfoot experiences?
I have actually what I would think was a Bigfoot experience, and there were a couple of those. My grandparents owned some property, a bunch of woodland that was like 40 acres down around the between Humansville and Bolivar, Missouri, which is there's a lot of timber. There wasn't much in that general area, but we had quite some experiences out there with presences, heavy footfalls that were obviously bipedal, coming up through the woods, up to the back of our tent. We saw little white lights coming through our tent that night after my grandfather passed away. Oh, and there was a smell. It smelled very much like rotten gasoline or bad garlic. It was really a putrid and hard to describe smell.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We had the white lights, the little white lights. I know that people say that's woo, but I'm here to tell you that, and it took me decades to figure out that they were related to the entity or the cryptid who was walking up behind our tent. There was also that disappeared, and a little white light came zipping through our tent. And then after my grandfather died, and he was really good to that property. He was very respectful of the property. He took great care of it. And I feel like the energies there also took care of him for that very reason. And after he passed away, it looked like fireflies, like just all over through the trees, but they were bigger and they were white. And it was late November, so fireflies were not likely to be around during that period.
Right.
So, yep. And then there was another night down there. It was right after Grandpa passed away. My cousin and I decided we were going to go into the woods before he had to go home. And as we got close to the woods, we had Grandpa's little weenie dog, and it ran into the woods just ahead of us, and it got rolled back out like a bowling ball. It yiped, and then it rolled right out of the woods. So I snatched it up, and about that time, all of the farm animals, and we're talking about cows, there were several cows at the time, and goats. There were 3 goats, and they just started raising all kinds of hell, beating up on their tin building and screaming at the top of their lungs. And my cousin and I looked at each other and said, yep, tonight's not the night to go into the woods around here.
Right.
So we took the dog and went inside.
They're watching you.
Yep, they were.
Yeah. So, have you ever encountered any ghostly activity while you're out there in Bigfoot areas?
Yes. As a matter of fact, one of my favorite stories to tell is, and I don't know whether it was a ghost or a Bigfoot. I don't know what it was, but I remember being in my grandma and grandpa's kitchen, and I was alone in the house. Everybody else was outside working in the yard or doing what they did. My grandpa worked outside a lot. And I was probably, I don't know, 15 or 16 years old, maybe. Old enough that I had a lot of ghostly stuff under my belt at that point. And I felt something in the house come up behind me in the kitchen. And I was in the process of telling it, you're not scaring me, knock it off. I turned around to walk away, and a bag of bread came flying across the kitchen and smacked me in the back of the head. So, and I ordinarily, that would have terrified me. It didn't. It made me laugh, and it still kind of makes me giggle.
Yeah, well, at least I'm not the one who has things to move on them. Okay,
Oh
good.
no.
I feel so much better now.
Yes. Yes, yes. It happens. It does.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Stuff moves in this house all the time. It's not just the
Well, but you
animals.
do a lot of paranormal investigation also.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've
I
been doing this
understand you. Aren't you
sort of.
guys in Bryan, Texas?
Yeah, we're in Texas. Yeah.
Okay, so one of my very favorite videos ever came from Bryan, Texas back in 2020. And that was the sky sound. Are you familiar with what I'm talking about?
Guy sound. I think we might not have been here yet. I think we got here in 18, I think. We've been here, God, going on 7 years now. But
So
yeah, we probably heard it and probably just didn't know what it was.
I will send you a link to the video. I
Please.
had to go look it up because when I found out you were in Bryan, Texas, it was like, oh, I wonder if they got a chance to experience this.
Yeah.
It was actually a very bad storm. Earlier in the day, during the daytime, there had been a lot of fighter planes in the sky in this general area. And
Right.
then later that night, there was a very bad electrical storm. And in the middle of this electrical storm, there was like this screaming, shrieking, strange animalistic sounds coming from the sky. And when the lightning flashed, you could actually see what looked like a giant jellyfish kind of entity up in the clouds.
That's crazy. Does
I'll
not
send you a
surprise
link.
me. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. The more I do the research here, the more I'm like, holy crap, we're in like a paranormal hotspot right
Yeah, you
here.
guys picked a good one. You sure did.
Yeah, we didn't even know when we moved here. Now I've got a
Yeah.
creature in my backyard too. I'm researching right now, trying to figure out what it is.
Oh, what do you know about it so far?
I've only seen silhouettes. I saw, I have cameras on facing the forest behind our house. We have a kind of an open area, and then the forest there's a chunk of forest behind our house. And I was out there one night trying to put my chickens away, and I
Okay.
look over, and the dog's just screaming his head off. Shorty, one of our dogs, he's just screaming. He's kind of sensitive to that stuff, and yapping, yapping, yapping. I'm like, what? I look over there, and it's not quite dark yet, and there was a silhouette of what looked like a person. Probably I'm 6'2", so about my height, or maybe a little bit bigger. In typical Bigfoot for fashion, just the whole like this,
Oh,
arm up, arm back, and it was walking. I'm like, what? I'm like, what would somebody be doing down there at 8 o'clock at night, 7 o'clock at night? Walking through the grass down there. There's no reason for anybody to be down there. I looked back at the camera, I couldn't see it, so I don't know exactly what it was. I told my wife, she's like, well, it's probably a person. I'm like, yeah, there's a walking trail, by the school by our house. And so, yeah, I don't know. The water runs off down into that area. It's kind of an overflow area, and then it runs into a little river behind our house, and then there's a forest back there. And I've been doing some research. There's actually ponds back there. It's not a real big chunk of forest, but it's got to be at least a couple thousand acres, if not more. I mean, not a couple thousand, couple 100,000 acres, if not more.
woo, that's a big old piece of land.
It's a big chunk. It's kind of like a overflow area for the city. That's where
Yeah.
all the water runs off to. So nobody's built back there. But I got to go back there and start researching more and seeing what's going on. What's interesting is we have,
Oh, yeah.
how they do the cutouts through the forest, where you can basically walk through and there's just grass, there's no trees. And it's either a pipeline or it's a telephone wires. It's probably a pipeline. And so my theory is that Bigfoots use that to migrate. They'll walk through those areas.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
sure.
my friend's property out in the Sabine National Forest, he had it right next to his house. And the area behind that was wild forest. Nobody goes up there. And he told me, a long time ago, nobody's allowed up there. Nobody's been up there for 20 plus years because they're afraid of whatever was up there. And so I went over there one day, and I had no idea. I think I pretty much found Dogman tracks. When I'm walking through there, I'm like, the brush is 10 feet tall. Like the weeds are just way tall. Nobody cut them for a long time. There's a clear path that must have been 5-6 feet wide, going right straight through into the forest right across. And I looked at him, and he looked at me. He's
That's
like,
really big for a cane
yeah.
trail. Wow.
He's like, nope, you're not going in there. You're not armed. You're not going in there. So, but
Yeah.
he had Bigfoot on his property. So, and of course it was haunted too. That's why I was asking you. Every location I've ever been that has Bigfoot has ghosts for some reason. And then the more I drop pins on a Google map with haunted locations, UFOs, Dogman, Bigfoot, I find clusters,
They all
and they're all in
coincide.
the same
Yep.
area. It's just like, why is this
Yep.
happening? You know, we have over at Lake Bryan over here is supposed to be a hotspot for Dogman. Of course, we have all kinds of, out here we have every kind of animal there is. So, anyways, so keep going with your stories.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's pretty cool out
Okay.
here. Yeah.
Oh, let's see.
So, tell us
Yep.
about like
I see.
any stories that you have from growing up. Tell us about what kind of got you into the paranormal when you were a kid.
Okay. Well, let's see here. I mean, I've always had an affinity for ghosts, for other entities, for the fairies. When I was a kid, they scared me, and God bless my mom and dad. They were so patient with me, and they were so supportive. I was very, very lucky. I know a lot of people don't have that luxury. They grow up
Yeah,
seeing these things, and they're told that they're not real, and it's your
that was me.
imagination, and knock it
That was
off.
me. Yep, that was me. Except my parents never told me they weren't
Sorry.
real.
Oh, no, my mom and dad didn't either.
Yeah.
My mom was really good about it. My mom was like, okay, let's go check it out. And so we'd
Yep.
go and check it out. And then she'd be like, you tell it to leave. You tell it to leave and get out of here. It has no right here. And you have all the power.
Yeah.
And that's what she would say to me, unless, of course, the hackles on the back of her neck went up. And then she'd be like, okay, you guys, why don't you climb in bed with me and we'll wait till your dad gets home.
That's awesome. Yeah, my mom was supportive. She never really told me it didn't exist, but she never really, believed in it either, I don't think. She was extremely nice about it. She would come in and check on me and, okay, you need to go back to bed. Because I basically became an insomniac as a little kid because
No.
I could see things. I'd see
Right.
things, hear things, feel things. And I think the worst part about it was the whispering. You can't understand what the heck they're saying.
They do that on purpose. They do that
Oh,
explicitly to scare you.
oh,
Now, why would
right.
they do that? They would do that because they need that energy. That's what they eat. That's what they
Oh,
survive on.
no,
That's their sustenance.
yeah.
So make you angry, make you jealous, make you fearful, make you worry. That's what they chew on.
Huh. Interesting. Well, that's good to know. So tell us about some of your stories as you're growing up. You started getting into the researching the paranormal.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We had a place not too far away from where we lived that was genuinely called Sleepy Hollow. It was an old swimming club that the rumor was that it had been blown up back in the 20s by mafioso, and in the Kansas City area, that was not uncommon. Kansas City mafiosos who built Las Vegas, so that was not uncommon. But we used to go out there and we would listen to the guys playing billiards that weren't there, and we would see the lights just like coming through the forest, and they weren't like there was no reason for them. We would hear people playing in the swimming pool, and the swimming pool had been full of dirt and gravel. It had been backfilled for decades.
Wow.
So that was one of the cool things, and there were times when we went up there that it did not feel okay to stop,
Wow.
so we would leave. There was one night where we were walking out of there, and there was a bunch of us. There was me and my two sisters, and my brother-in-law, and my sister's date, and another guy, another friend of ours, and we're walking out. We'd been there all evening long. It was well after dark, and there was this guy who was standing beside the path that we were on. And all of a sudden, and my sister was like, oh, she almost bumped into him. And she's like, oh. And when she turned around, we all noticed that we could see through him.
Wow.
And he ducked down into the grass like he didn't want to be seen, like he was trying to hide from us.
Oh my
And
gosh.
he just disappeared.
Dang.
So, yeah,
That's
we
crazy.
were 17, maybe I was
Right.
17 when that happened.
Yep.
Very young, very young.
Yeah.
We studied, my family and I got into studying because of our experiences together. We got into studying a lot of metaphysics and got involved with the Psychical Research Society and all kinds of different things to try and expand our knowledge base on what we were actually experiencing. And this was back in the days where you didn't say that to people because
Yep.
they lock you up.
Exactly. You said psychic or medium or anything, and everyone's like, "Oh, no, 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 no."
Yep. Yep. Oh, devil worshiper.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I grew up in the '80s too, so I know exactly what you're talking about. Oh yeah,
Yes,
all the
you
way into
do.
the early '90s until a couple of the ghost hunting shows came out. It wasn't popular at all, and then it became really popular. In fact, that's
I
how
was,
we got going. We were just
yes.
wandering around, my wife and I and some friends,
Yep.
going to experience places where we could, like the Queen Mary and Whaley House. We were in California, and a few other places, and we were just
Oh, yeah.
basically, trying to have an experience. No gear, no, we were just basically staying the night at these places and hoping to have some kind of experience, and so.
Some
But
kind
yeah, we used to
of,
frequent the Queen
yeah.
Mary so often, and then we got going, and then
Yeah, that's a great place.
yeah, ran the California Ghost
Yes,
Hunters
you did.
for what, almost 15 years, and helped a lot of families.
Oh, wow.
Mainly in and out of homes, and helped a lot of
That's
families, and
fantastic.
yeah. But kind of retired from that. Kind of went off on my own. Started researching different areas of California by myself and doing ghost tours and stuff. And that's actually when I had my first Bigfoot sighting. That was crazy, and then that got me into
On a ghost
Bigfooting.
tour?
And yeah, so don't talk about UFOs much because that tends to get me in a lot of trouble. Every time I start talking about that, things start disappearing off my computer, and things happen on social media, and I get booted off of social media and stuff. Yeah, if you ever get a good video of UFO, do not post it on
No,
Facebook, and
those guys,
especially don't post it on YouTube. You'll get your accounts
yeah,
deleted, and
I
your
mean, they
evidence
are so
will
good.
disappear. And oh yeah, you meet strange people.
I've had UFO experience in
Oh
my
yeah,
life. Yep. Back in the early 90s, I did a lot of research on the crop circles that were happening. Well, not only in England, but also in the United States. And so I had boots on the ground with some of the crop circles that were happening around the Missouri, Kansas area
yeah,
during the early 90s. So I understand what you're saying. That is kind of a scary thing. And those guys just need to get over it. I mean, we're evolving past that now. So y'all
yeah.
get over it.
Exactly. I haven't seen anybody in a long time, thank God. But I mean, when you're in the middle of the forest and a general, 5-star, 4-star general comes walking up to you with two MPs, and you're like,
Yikes.
what's going on? Am I going to disappear?
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, thank
Oh,
God.
that's
He starts
terrifying.
asking you questions, and the funny thing is, he starts telling me, oh, yeah, Bigfoot's real and UFOs are real. And then a black helicopter flies by, and he's like, gotta go.
Oh, we're done here.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
But yeah, no, I mean, the military is heavily involved in the paranormal, and the stuff that they do. I mean, I've heard
yes.
all kinds of stories, so I don't want to get into that. But anyways, tell us a little bit about your book before we have to go here.
Absolutely. So it is called The Adventures of a Sketch Diary, which is it's a very cool little book. It is a book that my mom and dad actually got for me, a sketch diary, because I was traveling all over. I do special effects. That has been my career since the 90s, anyways. I've traveled all over the United States. I've done film and theater, blah blah blah. But during my time on the road, I took this sketch diary with me, and I would sketch the entities and the energies that I encountered in different places all over the place, all over the
That's
United
so
States.
cool.
Now, I had a good time with it, but in 2012, I ended up getting divorced and
Oh,
moving around, and my storage unit was burglarized. And in the process of all of the moves and the burglarizing and just the little life changes, my sketch diary disappeared, and I noticed it
wow.
was missing in 2014.
That really
So,
sucks.
oh, it sucked really hard. I mean, that was a
Yeah.
friend of mine.
Yeah.
So in 2020, during the lockdown, I was at a friend's house watching, I was house sitting and pet sitting for her. And me and the dogs were in the backyard. They were playing and I was watching them. It was just after twilight, so it was dark, but it wasn't good and dark. It was the prime time to see the fireflies. And there were a ton of them. Well, it got me just feeling a little wistful.
Wow.
I was missing my sketch diary and all the time that I had spent with the fairies, and it was just kind of a bummer. The very next day, I got a Facebook message from a young man who said, "I have your sketch diary and I would like to return it if you would like it back."
Dang. Well, that's cool.
I went and got my sketch. It was very cool. It was very fortuitous. I mean, for me, that was divine orchestration. How else does that happen?
Right.
So I went and picked it up, and I would love to be able to tell you and your audience why he wanted me to have it back, but I couldn't even begin to string that together. How he came in contact with it, I have no idea. I understood he was going through a very rough time in his life with some substance abuse, and so he was a little hard to follow. I understood garage sale. I understood that he had had it for several years, and I understood that he and his friends had tried to replicate some of my drawings. Beyond that, I understood nothing.
Wow.
So I brought it home, I finished it, I wrote text to go with it, and then Hanger One Publishing fell into my lap from nowhere. And they decided that it was a fun book to publish, so they published it for me.
Wow. Well, that's cool. Very nice of
My
them.
orchestration, man.
Yeah, definitely. It's your life story, essentially. Your paranormal life story in there.
Yeah, kind of.
All those sketches and stuff like that. Well, that'll definitely be linked in the description down below, guys. If you guys want to go pick up Colleen's book, I would appreciate you doing it. I might do it too, because I'm very interested in seeing her sketches. Her story really, every guest we ever have on who has dealt with the hauntings and stuff like that, their stories always start the same. It always starts as a childhood and works their way up through, basically being like me. Your story's a lot like me, and my wife's too. Actually, my wife's family has always dealt with ghosts, but they're more open to it. Your family is more open to it. My family is more close to it. So yeah, it's very interesting to hear your stories, because it matches up so much like everybody else's that I've ever talked to that's grown up with ghosts and stuff like that. Anyways, we still have a little bit of time. You want to share any more stories with us?
Sure. So, and this is going to be in the second book. Let me backtrack for just a second. There are a couple of things in my book that are not sketches. They are actual photographs. One of them has to do with my artwork, my special effect artwork, and how I proceeded through that, because it was a cryptid, and so I thought it was fun to add. The other one was a real live, honest to goodness fairy. She was a sylph. And my dad happened to get a picture one night, and this little light was hanging right over the top of my head. And so that is also included in the book. You guys will enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to buy it now for sure. I got to see that. Okay, yeah. So, like I said, we have about 5 more minutes left. If you guys want to hear another story, let's hear another story. Tell us about your best paranormal experience, maybe.
Oh, I don't know about best. I mean, I've had some crazy paranormal experiences. You can kind of see a lot of that stuff on some of my websites, like therabbithole.club. I have a lot of great videos and EVPs and things that are not produced. They are absolutely 100% true, and they happened the way that they happened. One of the ones that was so cool, that is most recent for me. I lost my father this last summer, and he was thank you. It was a really rough one. He was not only my very dear friend, but he was also our roommate. So we had purchased property together, and so it was quite a tragedy for everybody. But In the process of having a memorial for him, our cousins came in from Colorado and they brought with them a whole bunch of ghost busting equipment that they wanted to try out. Well, since we live in such a very hotbed, we are in a Civil War area. And it's a very haunted area, and I believe that Sasquatch is also very heavy and prominent in this area. We decided that we were going to go to the local cemetery and some of the local museums and battlegrounds and that kind of thing and just try out some of their equipment. Well, in the process of trying out their equipment, I saw my equipment do things that I've never seen it do before.
Crazy.
It was like sparkling. It was there were glitters, and it was so bizarre. And it was always where there was activity going on, and it looked like somebody just threw handfuls of glitter into the air. It was crazy. Wow. Like the Star Trek transporter kind of thing.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it was insane. Now, we also got the very best ghost box evidence that I have ever heard. Just supremely interactive and very pointed conversation. So that was a lot of fun. Something that I'll have in my next book. I've got another sketch diary coming out here pretty soon. Awesome. Because they come to me and they ask me to draw them. So I have lots of drawings and paintings of these energies and entities that I want to share.
Right on.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of fun. But one of the ones that is a great story is whenever my uncle passed away, who was taking care of my grandmother. This was back in 2008. He passed away, so I moved in with her for a short period to help get things packed in there and take care of her. She was wheelchair bound. So one night I had put her to bed, and I had been packing a lot of his stuff into plastic grocery bags that day, and I had them stashed at the foot of his bed. Well, I was sleeping in his bed. I had put Grandma to bed, and I turned off in bed. I was exhausted, but I was very much awake. And I hear those plastic trash bags at the foot of my bed rattling around. Well, my first thought is, oh, great, we've got a mouse, or we've got a rat, or we've got something,
Yeah.
So I whipped my head over the side of the bed, wanting to see, because I heard it coming. And it was a little naked guy that was about 18 inches tall who had his hand full of a sock.
Dang.
And I've seen things since then that were absolutely the same thing. They call them duende down in Mexico and South America. They call them duende, and they are like a little gremlin, or he looked very much like Dobby or Creature from Harry Potter.
Crazy.
But he was completely naked and bald, and he was taken off with those socks. And he had not the bag of socks, he wanted just the socks. He stopped in the doorway, and it was very backlit, so I got a pretty good eyeful of what he looked like. He
sure.
looked down both ends of the hallway, whipped around the corner into my grandmother's room, and it was the last time I saw him. But the next day I brought a cat over because they don't like cats. And I did some protection and some ritual stuff for protection around the trailer for the duration of the time we were there.
Wow. That's crazy.
It was pretty crazy.
That I have not seen yet.
Yeah,
what I know of.
I've seen a lot of crazy stuff, but that one, and he had such a vibe to him that I wasn't going to follow him either.
Yeah, I bet not. All right, Colleen, we're kind of running out of time here. Is there anything else you want to share real quick before we go?
Just that if you would like to come and see some of my artwork, please feel welcome to hit ColleenKoffman.com. If you would like to see some of my paranormal work, you can find me at therabbithole.club. And if you'd like to get your hands on my book, you can go to hangar1publishing.com.
Yeah, and all those links will be down below, guys, for you guys to check out. I'm definitely going to go check out all those to see what she's been doing and stuff like that. Colleen Coffman, thank you so much for coming on with us today. I appreciate it. And guys, we will catch you guys on the next one.